So now on to the topic that you've all been waiting for, your favorite, the long division. Now, I know a lot of you probably hated this at school and probably have bad memories of it. The good news is that 9 times out of 10, when you think that you need to use a long division in the GMAT, actually you don't need to use it. In most cases, we're going to try and simplify the calculation, or maybe we're going to approximate. But there are a few cases where you actually have to make the long division, and that's why we need to revise it. So let's have a look at a little animation to explain. So let's say that we're dividing 126 by 3. So most of you will have seen something similar to this at school. Now, depending on where you studied, your teacher, your country, etc., you may place things a little bit differently, but it's pretty much the same thing, just in different locations. So one way of laying this out is you write the 126 below this horizontal bar, and then you write the 3 on the left, and you separate the 2 with a vertical bar like this. Okay, and then we're going to follow a step-by-step method, which we're going to recap at the end. But the first thing we want to do is we take the 3 and we try and divide the first digit in this number here. So in this case, 1, we try to divide it by 3. Okay, now 3 does not go into 1, right? Or 3 does not divide 1. So in that case, it goes 0 times. It's too small. We're going to skip this step. So the next thing we do is we move on to the second digit. Okay, so now we've got 1 and a 2, which makes up 12. We think, does 3 divide 12? Yes, it does. Okay, and it goes 4 times. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply that 4 by 3 to get 12. Okay, then we're going to subtract, and so we're going to subtract that 12 from this 12 here, and we're left with 0. Okay, so it's a bit of a coincidence that we're left with 0 here. Sometimes there's a remainder, in fact often there is, and in that case that remainder would be here. But notice that the 4, so it goes 4 times, we've written the 4 above here, and we've put it above the 2. Right? We haven't put it above the 1 because that would have been a 0. That's the step we tried before. And now, so this 4 goes 3 times into 12, so we put it above the 2. Now, the next step is to bring down the 6, right? And then we start again. So we try and check how many times does 3 go into 6. And it goes 2 times. So in this case, we multiply 2 times 3 to get 6. And again, the remainder is 0. And at this point, we've finished the whole long division, and we're left with 42. So the 2 coming from the 2 times 3 that goes into 6. So the result is 126 divided by 3 is 42. Now, that was quite a simple long division, and we'll see other ways of doing this without having to go through this whole process. Find or try to remember the way you lay things out at school. It's probably best to just stick to that method, or if you can't remember at all, copy this one. So the cycle that we've used here to work this out is called the divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat cycle, or sometimes called the algorithm. You may know it in different names. You also may know different layouts to this, as I mentioned earlier. So either copy this way or try to remember the way you did it at school, but practice it a few times because it does pop up every now and then in the GMAT. But as I said before, in most cases, there are ways of avoiding it, and actually it's better to avoid it rather than do it.